It is no secret that sport has a heavy influence on society in Australia. Due to sport's tendency to require teamwork and endure hardship, it's no surprise Australia has developed such an obsession with sport, as these traits are an integral part of Australians' identity. Today I will show you the significance of the sporting culture in Australia. I strongly believe that sport is one of the most influential aspects of Australian identity. My 3 points for discussion today are: 1. The involvement of sport in Australian pop culture. 2. The nostalgia of sport in Australia. And 3. The impact on the public during big sporting events. But first, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe and that bell icon for the fresh content. Firstly, Australians' pop culture's involvement in our sport obsession. Australian pop culture is loved all around the globe, from our actors to our musicians and global TV shows. From Shane Warne's appearance in Kath and Kim to Eric Bana and his Olympic sporting tips. Australian pop culture simply cannot ignore sport in this country. However, the most influential Australian TV series is without a doubt Bodyline. Bodyline is a mini-series based on the 1932-1933 Ashes series. This Ashes series is without a doubt the most controversial Ashes series or Test series in cricket history. One that ignited a rivalry between the two countries and almost caused a diplomatic incident. Bodyline was a tactic in which you bowl fast and short at the batsman, and if the batsman played the ball, he would be caught out. In the mini-series, Gary Sweet plays Sir Donald Bradman and Hugo Weaving plays Douglas Jardine, the England captain. This was a highly acclaimed series, rating an 8.6 out of 10 on IMDb. The series emphasised the courage and spirit shown by the Aussies despite an unsportsmanlike tactical performance from their opposition. One scene demonstrates this attitude. The team are gathered in the change room before the start of another day of cricket. The team are discussing their opinions on how they should approach the situation. Despite the Australian cricket team being capable of returning fire, they decide to keep their performance and their tactics within the spirit of the game. Quotes such as, "We're here to play cricket, and that's precisely what we're going to do," demonstrate the courage and maturity shown by the Australian team. This quote is a key example of the Aussie battler spirit. If it's a choice between getting out and getting hit, I'm prepared to wear it. Overall, the 1984 mini-series Bodyline is a fantastic example of Australian pop culture effectively representing our sport obsession. Secondly, the nostalgia of sport in Australia. Nostalgia is defined as an affectionate feeling you have for the past, especially for a particularly happy time. In any sporting event, Australians always feel a high sense of nostalgia. Whether it's an AFL Grand Final or even just a throwaway backyard cricket game, sport in Australia always has a sense of nostalgia. The following article is from reporter Waleed Ali, titled "This Rich Sporting Life." This article uses detail to discuss the effect of sport on all Australians. Sections of this article really emphasise the nostalgia of sport in this great nation. Now, amid the soaring temperatures of a global meltdown, we are regularly setting new cricket attendance records. This quote suggests that despite a global meltdown and soaring heat, Australians still manage to set new attendance records simply because of our love of the sport. The second quote is, "The success is not because Australians are born with more talent than other people, it is ultimately a question of emphasis. We take sport more seriously than anyone else." This quote emphasises the love of sport and our passion for it. Ali makes it very clear that the reason Australians are among the best in the world is simply because of our passion for the sport, or any sport. This is the true function of the Australian sportsman. They are characters that define our national story, and from such stories, not from parliaments, that society so often derive their values. The reason I chose this quote is because of its relevancy to my thesis statement. This quote mentions that the sportsmen and women of this country define our national identity. The last section of this quote also mentions that society so often derive their values. This quote is extremely relevant to my thesis statement as it mentions that society derives its own values from its sporting heroes. I'm sure you will all agree with me that this rich sporting life shows constant nostalgia in Australian sport and it's clearly demonstrated. Lastly, the effect of big sporting events. Australian sport is widely known for its ability to pull huge crowds during big sporting events. Whether it's Boxing Day Test at the MCG or a Bledisloe Cup match at Lang Park, the Aussies know how to do big sporting events. This next source is a poem by Vivian McCready called The Race That Stops the Nation. This poem is about the Melbourne Cup, Australia's most well-known horse race. This event has been held annually on the first Tuesday of November at Flemington Racecourse since 1861. Around 300 to 400 horses are nominated, but only 24 horses are selected to compete. The prize money for the Melbourne Cup is $7.3 million, hence showing the significance of this event. The poem sets the scene of a Melbourne Cup day. The race that stops the nation was made iconic by the Australian public for its relatability to the big day. Quotes like, "As the winner flashes past the post, you'll hear the thousands roar, for never has there been a race to catch imagination than the race that's run at Flemington, the race that stops the nation." This quote captures the imagination of the reader to visualise what a day at the Melbourne Cup looks like. It is relevant to this point as it mentions the thousands who roar at major sporting events. And once a year, that single race creates a situation where we all share the nostalgia, the race that stops the nation. This quote heavily relates to my other points as well as my thesis statement. The mention of nostalgia also relates to my first point. The poem, That Race That Stops the Nation, is a very good demonstration of the effect of big sporting events in Australia. In conclusion, I firmly believe sport is the most important element of Australian society. Sport in Australia, I'm sure you will agree with me, is without a doubt a huge influence on the public. This is made clear through my 3 points of 1. The use of sport in Australian pop culture, 2. The nostalgia of sport, and 3. The effect of big sporting events in Australia. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the new Sheep or Goat merch, new website coming soon. The first 5 people to comment Australia in the comments get $5 off any Sheep or Goat order. Thanks for watching.